Hello, and welcome to the 82nd episode of Scripture in a Year, hosted by Saints Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the Albanian Archdiocese of the OCA. Today's reading is from the fourth book of Kingdoms, or 2 Kings, chapters 13 through 16. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, the king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, became king over Israel in Samaria, and ruled 17 years. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who led Israel to sin. He did not depart from them. Thus the Lord was roused to anger against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of the son of Hadad, the son of Hazael. But Jehoahaz pleaded with the Lord, and the Lord heard him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. Then the Lord gave deliverance to Israel, so they escaped from under the hand of the Syrians. And the sons of Israel dwelt in their habitations as before. But still they did not depart from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who led Israel into sin, but walked in them. Indeed, the wooden image remained in Samaria. Yet there were no more troops left for Jehoahaz, except 50 horsemen, 10 chariot drivers, and 10,000 infantry. For the king of Syria destroyed them, and made them like dust to be trampled. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz, everything he did, and his mighty acts, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jehoahaz rested with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. Then Jehoash, his son, ruled in his place. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, became king over Israel and Samaria, and ruled for 16 years. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who led Israel into sin. He walked in them. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash, everything he did, and his might in fighting with Amaziah, king of Judah, is all this not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat upon his throne in Samaria, among the sons of Israel. Elisha became sick with an illness from which he would die. Jehoash, king of Israel, came down to him and wept before him and said, my father, the chariots of Israel and their horsemen. And Elisha said to him, take a bow and some arrows. So he brought him a bow and some arrows. Then he said to the king, put your hand on the bow. So he put his hand on it, and Elisha put his hands on the king's hands. Then he said, open the east window. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, shoot the arrow with the bow. And he shot. And Elisha said, an arrow of the Lord's deliverance, an arrow of release from Syria. For you will strike the Syrians at Aphek until their end. Then Elisha said to him, take the bow of an archer. And he did. And he said to the king of Israel, strike the ground. So the king struck 3 times and stopped. And the man of God was grieved and said, if you had struck it 5 or 6 times, you would have struck Syria till you had destroyed it. But now you shall strike Syria only 3 times. Now Elisha died, and they buried him. Then in the following year the raiding bands from Moab invaded the land, and it came to pass, as they were burying a man, they beheld a lightly armed band of raiders, and cast the man into the tomb of Elisha. When the man touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood up on his feet. Now Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. But the Lord had mercy on them. He pitied them and watched over them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Thus he did not want to destroy them or cast them from his presence. Now Hazael, king of Syria, died. Then the grandson of Hadad reigned in his place. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, returned and captured the cities out of the hand of the grandson of Hazael, the cities which he took from the hand of Jehoahaz, his father, in the war. Jehoash defeated him 3 times and recaptured the cities of Israel. In the 2nd year of Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, became king. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoiadan of Jerusalem. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, yet not like his father David. He did everything as did his father Joash. However, he did not remove the high places, and the people still sacrificed and burned incense on the high places. And it came to be, when the kingdom was established in his hand, Amaziah had his servants who had murdered his father struck with a deadly blow. But he did not have the sons of the murderers put to death. For just as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, as the Lord commanded, saying, Fathers shall not face death on behalf of their sons, nor shall sons face death on behalf of their father, but each one shall face death for his own sin. He killed 10,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt, and took Selah by war, and called it Joktheel until this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come here, let us look one another in the face. So Jehoash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son as a wife. But wild beasts of the fields in Lebanon passed by and trampled the thistle. You indeed defeated Edom, and your heart lifts you up. So while sitting at your house, be glorified in yourself. Why wrangle in your hateful feelings and fall to your destruction, and Judah with you? But Amaziah did not heed the words. So the king of Israel went up, and he and Amaziah king of Judah looked one another in the face at Beth-shemesh of Judah. Thus Judah fell before Israel, and every man fled to his tent. Then Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, captured Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth-shemesh. And Jehoash came to Jerusalem and broke down 400 cubits of the wall of Jerusalem, from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate. He took the silver and gold and all the vessels found in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house, and indentured servants, and returned to Samaria. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash, including all he did in his might, how he fought with Amaziah, the king of Judah, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jehoash rested with his fathers and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Then Jeroboam his son ruled in his place. Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived 15 years after the death of Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah and all he did, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? They plotted a conspiracy against Amaziah in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish, and there they put him to death. They brought him on horses, and he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. Afterwards all the people of Judah took Azariah, when he was 16 years old, and made him king in place of his father, Amaziah. After the king rested with his fathers, Azariah rebuilt Elath and restored it to Judah. In the 15th year of Amaziah the son of Joash, Jeroboam the son of Joash became king over Israel and Samaria, and ruled for 41 years. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who led Israel into sin. He rescued the people from the territory of Israel, from the entrance to Hamath as far as the sea of Arabah. In accordance with the word, the Lord God of Israel spoke through his servant Jonah the son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath-hepher. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel was very bitter, that they were few in number, lacking much, and forsaken, and there was no one to come to the aid of Israel. And the Lord said he would not blot out the seed of Israel from beneath the heaven. So he delivered them by the hand of Jeroboam the son of Joash. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and his power to wage war, and how he rescued Damascus and Hamath of Judah for Israel, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Jeroboam rested with his fathers, the kings of Israel. Then Azariah, the son of Amaziah, ruled in his place. On the 27th year of Jeroboam, the king of Israel, Uzziah, the son of Amaziah, king of Judah, became king. He was 16 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jecholiah of Jerusalem, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to everything his father's Amaziah had done, except he did not remove any of the high places. The people still sacrificed and burned incense in the high places. Then the Lord touched the king, and he was a leper to the day of his death. He reigned in a house isolated from all others. Concerning matters of the household, Jotham, the son of the king, judged the people of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Uzziah and everything he did, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Uzziah rested with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. Then Jotham his son reigned in his place. In the 38th year of Uzziah king of Judah, Zechariah the son of Jeroboam ruled over Israel in Samaria for 6 months. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who led Israel into sin. Then Shallum the son of Jabesh and Keblaam conspired against him. They struck and killed him, and Shallum ruled in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Zechariah, indeed, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord which he spoke to Jehu, saying, Your son shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. And so it was. Shallum the son of Jabesh became king in the 39th year of Uzziah king of Judah. And Shallum ruled for a month in Samaria. For Menahem the son of Gadi went up from Tirzah and came to Samaria. He struck Shallum the son of Jabesh in Samaria and killed him. Now the rest of the acts of Shallum and the conspiracy he led, indeed, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then Menahem attacked Tirzah, all who were there, and the extended area of Tirzah, because they did not open their gates to him. There he ripped open all the women who were with child. In the 39th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Menahem, the son of Gadi, became king over Israel and ruled for 10 years in Samaria. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not depart from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin. In his days, Pul, king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, so his hand would be with him. This money Menahem extracted from Israel, 50 shekels of silver each from all the very wealthy, as tribute to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back, and he did not remain in the land. Now the rest of the acts of Menahem and everything he did, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So Menahem rested with his fathers. Then Pekahiah his son reigned in his place. In the 50th year of Azariah king of Judah, Pekahiah the son of Menahem became king over Israel in Samaria and ruled for 2 years. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin. Then Pekah the son of Remaliah, his officer, along with Argob and Ariah, conspired against him and attacked him in Samaria, in the citadel of the king's house. With him were 50 men of the 400. Pekah killed him and became king in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and everything he did are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah the son of Remaliah became king over Israel in Samaria and ruled for 20 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord and did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who led Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and captured Ijon, Abel-Beth-Maacah, Janoah, Kedesh, Hazor, Gilead and Galilee, the entire land of Naphtali. He exiled the people to Assyria. Then Hoshea, the son of Elah, led a conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and struck and killed him. He became king in his place in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. Now the rest of the acts of Pekah and everything he did are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 2nd year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, the son of Uzziah, became king of Judah. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to everything his father Uzziah had done. However, he did not remove the high places. The people still sacrificed and burned incense on the high places. He built the upper gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and everything he did, are these not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days the Lord began to send Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, against Judah. So Jotham rested with his fathers and was buried with them in the city of David, his father. Ahaz, his son, reigned in his place. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, became king of Judah. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he ruled for 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord his God, and he was not faithful as was his father David. But he walked in the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, king of Israel. Indeed, he made his son pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations whom the Lord had cast out before the sons of Israel. And he sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every tree growing in the woods. Then Rezin king of Syria and Pekah the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to make war. They began to besiege Ahaz, but they could not sustain the war. At that time Rezin king of Syria returned to Elath, to Syria, and drove the men of Judah from Elath. Then the Edomites went to Elath, where they continue to dwell to this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the king of Syria and from the hand of the king of Israel. They have risen up against me. And Ahaz took the silver and gold found in the treasuries of the house of the Lord and in the house of the king, and delivered it as a gift to the king. So the king of Assyria heeded him and went up against Damascus and took it. He removed the inhabitants and killed Rezin. Now King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. There in Damascus he saw an altar. And the king Ahaz sent to Urijah the priest the design of the altar and its patterns according to all its workmanship. Then Urijah the priest built an altar according to the design plans King Ahaz sent from Damascus. When the king saw the altar, he went up to it and offered his burnt offering on it, and his sacrifice and his drink offering, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings on the altar. He also relocated the bronze altar which was before the Lord forward from between the new altar and the house of the Lord. He put it on the north side of the new altar. Then King Ahaz commanded Urijah the priest, saying, On the large altar offer the morning burnt offering, the evening sacrifice, the king's whole burnt offering with his sacrifice, and the whole burnt offering of all the people with their sacrifice, and their drink offering, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice. The bronze altar shall be mine for the early morning. And Urijah the priest did everything King Ahaz commanded. Then King Ahaz cut off the embossments of the bases, and removed the lavers from them. He took down the sea from the bronze oxen under it, and put it on a stone base. And he built the foundation for the throne on the house of the Lord, and brought the king's entrance back into the house of the Lord, which had been outside because of the king of Assyria. And the rest of the acts of Ahaz, even all he did, are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Ahaz rested with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His son Hezekiah reigned in his place. Here ends the reading for today.